What is up, Mech Warriors? So, the new tech public test is out today, and I actually don't get too excited or nothing like that because basically it's, yeah, it's not like I'm coming back to play MWO or anything because I'm really not in the mood to have people pick fights with me and start shit, and then when I finish it, I get banned. Just doesn't appeal to me. But I am going to be on the public test because I do love Battletech. I love I just love everything about it. I think it's so fucking cool. So I just finished my download of the PTS. I'm going to be on there tonight, maybe even tomorrow, looking at the changes of the tech and how it actually is playing out. For right now, I'm just going to go through a quick read through of the new weapon systems and my initial thoughts of them. This is gonna be the second recording actually. The first one bugged out because Radeon Relive is like complete garbage, and I mean complete garbage. I hate the fact that I went to an AMD chipset. Um, I should have gotten another NVIDIA. This Radeon shit is for the birds. It's terrible. So, 50 minutes of recording and talking about the new tech gone out the window. So, yeah, don't ever buy Radeon if you get a choice. That's been my experience with this one. So, anyway, hopefully this recording goes better. New weapons. First of all, I'm going to run through this a lot faster than I really wanted to. But anyway, light machine gun versus the heavy machine gun for the IS side. I don't see the light machine gun being viable at all because while it picks up significant range, it's 2 times the range of a regular machine gun, it does half the damage, more, oh, like 2/3 the damage. Close to 2/3 the damage. It's got more range, still the same tonnage, the same shots per ton. So I'm not sure how it impacts it on a damage per ammo of ton kind of thing. So we'll have to see. Don't see it being viable just because, you know, it's the same tonnage but does less damage for extended range. I'm not seeing it. Plus the projectile speed at 100. It's really what it comes down. Projectile speed, if it was buffed to actually get on target consistently at the optimal range of 240 meters, I could see it being decent. But with 100 meters per second projectile speed, it's way too slow. The heavy machine gun, on the other hand, does basically 50% more damage than a regular machine gun, and I do see this weapon system having a place in the battlefield. The optimal range is 80 meters, so you're just straight face tanking this thing. But on certain mechs like the Arrow, I could see this being very good because it does more damage for only 1 ton more, and it's actually significantly more damage. So um, I think on certain mechs, the heavy machine gun will have its place. Moving on to the Gauss rifles, the IS is picking up a light Gauss rifle, which is 3 tons lighter, and a heavy one, which is 3 tons heavier. Damage is 8 versus 15 for the regular Gauss rifle, and then 15 to 25. I don't think the light Gauss rifle is going to be very good because here's why. The cooldown is the same. Like, since the skill tree rework and the extra armor that the mechs have picked up, I feel like DPS matters a lot more than it used to because it's more attrition based now. The game is, team matches are, everything is. So, with it having more or less half the damage with the same cooldown, it's giving up so much DPS. Yes, it has a little bit better range, but the projectile speed's not any faster. So it's not like you're trading off consistency for damage. It's just less damage. Yeah, it's only, you know, 12 tons, but it's still a heavy as fuck weapon system with a whole lot. I mean, a whole lot of tonnage invested into it. The shots per ton, it's decent. So it kind of pulls ahead in the ammo per, or the damage per ton of ammo category. Um, but unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to be very viable. The heavy Gauss rifle, on the other hand, is going to be a fucking bitch. Because, yes, it's 18 tons, which is a fucking lot of tonnage to wrap up into a single weapon system, but it does 25 points of damage. The cooldown is not significantly longer than the regular Gauss rifle at 6.5, so I think you gain enough in DPS, plus the addition of just how much pinpoint damage. I mean, 25 points of pinpoint damage on a specific component, that's not a joke. You know, you hit a light mech or a medium mech with that, they're going to be resigned to the second line for the rest of the match, pretty much. I think there's a bug here with optimal range of 180 meters for the heavy Gauss rifle. Excuse me. So assuming that is a bug and the optimal range lines up more closely with what the light and the regular Gauss rifle have, I think the heavy Gauss rifle is going to be a very good weapon system. Moving on to the LBX, I'm only going to address them in a cursory manner because the clan sides already had LBs. I know certain pilots like Commander Lemming love their LBs because once mechs are opened, they just hit them with the LB and start just ripping parts off. I, on the other hand, like to front load my damage against the armor and just make sure the mech's done, um, and then just rely on regular. I don't knock them out the fight instantly once they're cored, but I core them a lot faster, and that's my play style. Commander Lemming, obviously, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, I hope you do subscribe to his channel because honestly, I love watching his shit, and I have I'm not easily impressed. Let's just put it that way. So subscribe to him. He's got some great videos. He makes use of the LBs a lot on his Kodiaks. It's fun to watch. So yeah, it's good that the IS is picking him up. It's gonna be good news for them. Ultra autocannons. This is something I'm really excited about. Um, Assuming that projectile speeds get a little bit of a bump, I think they're still on the low side here. I'm really looking forward to Ultra AC20, especially on the King Crab. I've wanted to make that build forever. I've run a King Crab with AC20s and some small lasers, medium lasers, whatever, and some SRMs. A very devastating mech. I'm so interested in seeing what the Ultra AC20 can do as far as lethality at close range. So, looking forward to this weapon system. Very excited. It's about time. Obviously, you know, the clans have an advantage in tonnage, but their shots spread a lot more because, you know, they come out in salvos instead of a single shell. Assuming your aim's good enough to make use of the Ultra or the Inner Sphere style of autocannon, I think this is going to be very viable. Moving on to the rotary autocannon, which is completely new. It's like a Gatling gun, really. It's going to have a wind up or a spool up time, and then it's going to have a cool off time after firing. Depending on how they tune it, they could tune it really tight and have it be like prohibitively restrictive. Could be too loose and have this thing just be a DPS machine. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm really interested in experimenting with this though, so pretty excited about that. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to play with it and see what happens. Projectile speed seems relatively quick. Maybe, I mean, I have issues with autocannon projectiles in general being too slow. I think that because they take up so much tonnage and are ammunition dependent, I think that they should have enough velocity consistently hit their targets, even if the target is moving perpendicular. Like, for example, I have a build that I run on my Direwolf, which I think is by far and away the best build in the game for that mech, honestly. It's 5 UAC 5s and 4 mediums. It's got enough heat efficiency and high enough alpha that it can handle itself in any face-to-face conflict. I really don't think anything short of like a straight full brawl assault mech jumping in front of it at like 10 meters can really put up a fight against that mech. Unfortunately, at 400 to 500 meters, the damage starts to taper off because the autocannons aren't fast enough against side-strafing mechs to consistently lay down damage. And it's not as big of an issue because the Direwolf is so strong to begin with that it doesn't really seem to affect it that much. But something, for example, like my Marauder, which packs 2 AC5s, in addition to the 2 PPCs and 2 medium lasers, you can definitely feel it in that mech because every shot you miss is like, fuck, I don't have that much ammo to begin with, and you know, it doesn't have a high alpha to begin with, so it's like every shot matters on that mech. I just think across the board, projectile or ballistics could use a speed bump, roughly 10 to 15%. This is really more addressed at Russ because I'm gonna put this video up and post it to his Twitter, and hopefully he and the devs take a look at. I still think 10 to 15% projectile speed increase across the board for ballistics wouldn't be out of line. I think it would go a long way. Anyway, IS is getting ER lasers finally. Not gonna talk a whole lot about ER lasers. I prefer range, as a lot of you guys know have watched my videos of me playing. I like to establish dominance in the match early on with long range weapons, and yeah, I just think long range weapons are good in almost any of the current maps that you drop on, because anything short of a full on brawl type city map, which we need, by the way, PGI, everyone's been asking for it for as long as I've been playing this game, as far back as I can remember, of my friends that played beta telling me. Everyone's been asking for a city map. Just do it. Just close quarters, like fucking 150 meters max range, just nothing but bare knuckles boxing kind of stuff. Make it happen. Anywho, anything short of that kind of map, I think ER lasers are going to have their place. I prefer range, so pretty excited about that. Um, yeah, it's gonna be good stuff. Moving on to the PPCs, I actually think the light PPC is going to be the real game changer here. And I'll explain to you real quick why. At 3 tons and 5 damage, you're thinking, oh, well, we can just pick up 3 medium lasers. Yeah, but the medium lasers don't, even the ERs at a range of 360, don't come close to the 540 range. So they let you establish control of the map early on. And then another thing that I like is that for 3 tons, honestly, the light PPC is a minimal investment if you really think about the fact that all that damage is going on one spot. And its velocity, it remains to be seen. 1200, not that great, but it's okay. It's got decent range, not too heavy on the heat, not too heavy on the tonnage. I think this light PPC is going to be fantastic. Snub nose PPC is going to be also a lot of fun. 6 tons, so it's a ton lighter than a regular PPC. 10 heat, 10 damage, a little bit shorter range. It's more of a brawly type weapon for sure. If you put like a couple of snub nose PPCs with a big ass auto cannon, like an AC-20, couple of PPCs, snub nose PPCs, maybe some SRMs with Artemis, it could be a real deadly mech. So keep an eye on that one. Should be good. The heavy PPC. So we got 10 tons, big tonnage investment, damage of 12 on one location. I'm guessing it's not going to spread like the clan ER PPC. Excuse me again. Heat 14.5. Damn, it's quite a bit of heat. Optimal range 540, not bad. So pretty much just a harder hitting PPC with a lot more tonnage investment. I think that the heavy PPC is outclassed in pretty much every single way by the light PPC. For the same tonnage, actually for less tonnage than the heavy PPC, you can get 3 of these bad boys, do more damage, have you're gonna run into some ghost heat issues because it's gonna be 15 heat versus 12 plus the ghost heat, but you gotta think that you're also gonna carry an extra heat sink, assuming you have slots, and you're gonna have an extra heat sink to dissipate that heat. So I think the heavy PPC is not gonna be used at all very much. Moving on to the streaks, um, IS is getting streaks, good for them. I don't think streaks are any good at all anymore. Previously, before the skill tree, when light mechs were hard to hit, especially when piloted by a good stick, yeah, streaks had their place. Unfortunately, lights, like, it's fortunate and unfortunate because like the knife fighting lights, like your 5 medium pulse fire starters, the 6 small pulse Arctic cheetahs, your small pulse locust, I honestly feel like they're not as viable as they used to be. They're a lot weaker. They're too easy to hit now. On the other hand, I like it because it opens up the role of the light mech for other functions like infotech. The 3L Raven with narcs, with tag, ECM, like real scout type mechs instead of knife fighters. So in any case, streaks in the game for IS mechs. I know not all pilots are the same skill level. For me personally, I think streaks are a waste of tonnage now that light mechs are so easy to hit, but if you still have problems with them, I could see them being a valuable addition to your arsenal. Medium range missiles, very interesting. I don't know exactly how they're going to play out. I have a feeling that this is more of an artillery type weapon that's going to be good in faction warfare. I don't see this being very good in community warfare because they're going to stream out. It says right here, MRM firing patterns act as a stream of missiles rather than a single volley of clustered missiles. So they're going to fire more like clan LRMs, which means you're going to have to face tank a lot more. I don't see this being very good in regular drops. I could see this being very good against clustered mechs, and the only way you really cluster mechs is if your team's already way ahead, usually, and the enemy team's collapsed and is totally defensive, or in CW because the nature of the way that the maps are laid out, mechs are funneled into small areas. I could see MRMs being very good in faction warfare. So yeah, there it is. Rocket launchers, single use, one shot, unguided, low damage weapons. Okay, very low tonnage requirements, but have no ammunition requirement. It's one shot. I feel honestly because they're mounted externally, I almost feel like the rocket launcher should carry no slot dependency at all. The tonnage is fine, but they're mounted externally. I don't think they should be eating up internal slots on the mech's chassis. That's just my opinion. Whether they're good or not, I don't know. I could kind of see them being good in maybe like a competitive environment or a 1v1 environment where you're engaged one-on-one and you're both about to die, and if you can just get your rockets off, you'll drop that mech and you'll get to keep your guns in the drop. If you're playing competitively, your team will still have your guns. Like obviously you're going to be relegated to second line, taking only the safest of shots, but at least your guns will still be on the field. 1v1 competitively, obviously, you're about to lose, you pop the rocket launchers, you win. I could see it being good there. As far as group drops and public play, it could have its role. I could see them being interesting. So they'll probably have their place. Once again, I don't like the slot requirement, but it is what it is. Stealth armor. You guys can just read that on your own. It basically makes the mech have old school ECM where it can't be targeted by enemy players. It can only be acquired visually. So it generates heat when it's in use. It has a 10-second cooldown period, so you can't turn it on, turn it off all the time. Like once you turn it on, turn it off, you have to wait 10 seconds to turn it back on. But you can turn it off at any time. There's no cooldown for that. So yes, it builds up heat, and yeah, rip on Theratherma. Good luck. I could see this being very useful for a Raven 3L though. Certain scout type lights, I could see this being very good. So it's going to have its place in the game. I'm really excited for Light Pharaoh. Like, this is going to open up so many more build combinations, especially for like mediums and heavies. On the IS side, it has half the slot requirement for half the weight savings of regular Pharaoh. Pretty excited about that one. It's going to do wonders for a lot of builds. The light fusion engines are basically somewhere between the standard and a XL. It doesn't die when you lose the side torso of an XL, but it does take up two side slots. It weighs less than the standard. So I see this being very good for inner sphere assaults, which generally speaking kind of struggle. I feel like most IS assaults aren't that great right now. I think the light fusion engine is going to go a long way towards helping them achieve parity with clan assaults. Targeting computers, not going to mention them. They're just like, honestly, in my opinion, at this point, targeting computers are a waste of space. Why would you pick up a targeting computer when you can pick up a heatsink and do more damage throughout the match? I think they're garbage unless you're boating large lasers. And even then, on my Supernova, I chose to forego a targeting computer for an extra heatsink. I just don't see, unless your build like literally has 1 ton, 1 slot, and nothing else you can do with it. That's the only time I pick up targeting computers now. Always go for extra heat sinks. Getting laser AMS for inner sphere. Take note that it will be doing 5 heat every time it's active. So that's going to be different. I'm going to go down to the clan side. The clan laser AMS is going to do 4 heat. Not sure if typo or meant to be that way, but I think it's based off of tabletop value. So I think it's 5 for inner sphere and 4 for clans. Balance may need to be taken into account here, given the fact MWO isn't Battletech, the board game, but we'll see. Pretty excited. I think it's going to replace AMS on most builds because, yeah, it's 1 ton heavier, but no ammunition dependency, and honestly, a half ton of AMS is like nothing. You need to bring a full ton. So, excuse me again. I really don't know what's wrong with the quality of air in the house right now, but anyway. Okay, so that's laser AMS. Clan weapons, light machine guns, heavy machine guns. Same thing that I've already talked about. Quarter ton, no change there, actually. as far as the light machine gun versus the regular machine gun, and half ton for the heavy machine gun. Still think the heavy machine gun is going to be the only one that's really used on builds. Light machine gun, just extra range but lower damage. I don't see it being worthwhile. Micro lasers are coming in, basically elemental type weapons. Quarter ton, a little bit more than half the damage, a little bit more than half the heat. Um, Cooldowns pretty long. Short range, you're talking 150 meters. Yeah, you can think of it like, oh man, it's like a 25% range decrease to compared to the ER small laser. But if you look at it not in relative terms, but in absolute terms, 50 meters is like 2 fucking steps for a mech. It's nothing. So I'm sure micro lasers are going to have their place on a lot of clan small builds. Maybe even some other bigger chassis that just have a couple, maybe a half ton to a quarter ton, maybe even 1 ton free, and you have like energy slots you don't do anything with. Maybe pick up some extra support self defense weapons. Pulse lasers, once again, a micro pulse laser, same thing. I see some opportunities to make use of them on certain builds like Arctic Cheetahs, where when you pair them with SRMs or LRMs currently, you have some free tonnage, or you just add some weird tonnages where you can make use of these micro pulse lasers now. Heavy lasers, everyone's been talking about these. I think this can be the biggest curveball. I think they're going to suck. I think heavy lasers are going to be terrible. Yes, they do tremendous damage. Like the small laser, 6 damage. The heavy medium laser, 10 damage. Heavy large laser, 16 damage. Damn. Tonnage, very low. Half ton, 1 ton, 4 ton. Very low tonnage. But here's where it all turns south in a hurry. Heat, 4.25. 8, 17. Fuck me. 17? Really? That's ridiculous. Range, 450, 270, 100. I think heavy lasers have a place in MWO if MWO was being played pre-skill tree with highly agile mechs where like super high alphas poke out, unload as much damage as possible, and retreat before you can get targeted and cool off. I think they would have had a place in that playstyle. I think currently with how much the game revolves around attrition and DPS, I don't think that the tremendous amount of heat they put off is worth it, especially in the context of their reduced range. I think you give up too much map control with the short range weapons, and you lose too much DPS for how much because they run so hot. I just don't see them being worthwhile. So I think those are going to be the biggest thing. I mean, I know a lot of pilots are going to put them on their mechs and be like, God, I'm amazing. Look at all this damage. Like, my alphas are incredible. But I think they're going to be rubbish. Honestly, I think a lot of pilots are going to, especially the competitive and then max type pilots, are going to very quickly move away from heavy lasers. Just my thinking. We'll see if I'm right. Tag, light tag, shorter range. Not much to be talked about here. I think it's not going to be used because you want that. I mean, you want your tag to come close to the maximum range of your LRMs. That's just how it is, Um, yeah. ATMs, probably going to be the best of the new clan tech. They do 3 points of damage at 270 meters, dropping down to like a point of damage at their maximum range of 1100. Going to be very interesting to see these. I think they're going to be by far and away the best addition to the clan arsenal, and they are guided. So right there, they're guided missiles. So it's going to be really interesting to see them in action because they're guided with tremendous damage at close range, and they have long range as well. I think by far in the way they're going to replace almost all missile systems on clan mechs. And tonnage, looking at it, they're not too bad on tonnage, honestly. Given the tremendous amounts of damage they're capable of putting off, I think this is going to be a very good thing. Light active probe, 0 slots, 1 ton, and it has reduced range. I don't even know. Like, I don't really know. My Mad Dog makes use of an active probe right now. I don't know whether I'm going to be changing to a light active probe. We'll see. It's going to require playthrough because there's too many variables there. Laser AMS. Finally getting to the end of it. 4 damage, or 4 heat, excuse me, compared to IS-1. That's the biggest difference. Gonna be interesting. I think laser AMS is going to replace AMS on all clan mechs. And that's pretty much it. We got some changes to the skill trees for firepower. We got flamer stuff now. That's pretty cool. Rotary autocans are being um, rolled into the UAC jam chants. It's cool. Some sensor stuff happening as well. But really, that's it. The animations and visuals for the rotary autocans and stuff like that are not ready for all the mechs, but I think they're ready for these mechs here, like King Crab, Grasshopper, stuff like that. So I'll make sure I get some video of that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'm gonna be hopping into the PTS now. I'm gonna try to hit up Old Bob here. Old Bob, Commander Lemming, maybe Larsh if he's on. Haven't really met him yet, but maybe get with some of the other YouTubers, see if we can do some PTS drops and brainstorm and see what's what. So yeah, hopefully this recording actually worked and didn't bug out like my last one. I hope you enjoyed this session of looking at the new tech on the PTS, and until next time, happy hunting, MechWarriors. Peace.